Hey guys, Katelyn with GRiii here, and I have traveled all over the world with a slew of cameras. I'm talking like too many to count. But my favorite travel camera to date has been the Fuji X100v. This camera has absolutely revolutionized what traveling with a camera means to me and what I'm able to shoot while I am on the go in so many different scenarios. Until we're actually on a trip in Italy right now, and I found the Ricoh GRiii in a camera shop in Siena. I've been trying to get this camera for the last year in the US. It's been sold out. I didn't want to have to deal with like eBay stuff, and I literally found it brand new, diary edition, in the box, at a camera shop, same price as the US, so I bought it. So today we're gonna do a comparison with these two very popular cameras, and if you already own one, maybe it'll help you decide to get a different one. Or if you don't own either of them, it will help you decide if you want to get any at all. So when you want to travel light, the size of these two cameras are obviously one of the biggest differences. The Ricoh comes in at about half a pound, where the Fuji is just over 1 pound. So literally twice the weight. Obviously those aren't very heavy comparisons, but for me, when I pack my camera backpack, it's already full of my FX3 and all my lenses and stuff. So honestly, cutting on half a pound makes a huge difference. It's why I'm even considering going from a MacBook Pro to a MacBook Air, just to cut on that weight on my back, because when you're traveling, it gets really tiring. One thing I noticed right away when I picked up the Ricoh and started shooting on it is that I really miss the joystick that's on the back of the Fuji X100v. That's something that I would use all the time to set my focus spot really fast. The Ricoh does have a function where you can change it, but it's not quick, and otherwise the autofocus points kind of just function like a generic point and shoot would. So focus overall, the Fuji definitely wins. It has a much more robust system for focusing, whereas the Ricoh is kind of just like your typical point and shoot Canon power shot type vibe. Now, of course, one of the main reasons that the Fuji doesn't fit in your pocket is because it has a tilt screen and it allows you to shoot from the hip, which is a very popular thing to do within street photography. Whereas with the Ricoh, you're kind of just guessing if you're shooting from the hip, which in street photography necessarily isn't the worst thing, although seeing your screen and your composition will help you to make the perfect shot. So the Fuji, again, wins for shooting at the hip or really quick, don't want to be noticed. But then again, the Ricoh wins because it's smaller and you can just put it in your pocket and no one even knows that you're trying to take photos out on the streets or of them or whatever it is. So this is my sister-in-law Joanna up here. She actually has a Leica Q2. So should we do a quick feature of the Q2? Go get she's getting the Q2. Yeah.
It's quite...
She's beautiful. I mean, what a fine piece of machinery.
It's so beautiful, though. Especially I feel like the lens, like the way
that
the... Oof. I have, look at that. Could you just...
Another really cool thing about the Ricoh is that it actually fits in your pocket, whereas with the Fuji, you're really gonna struggle to find a pair of pants that the Fuji will fit in your pocket. But maybe you're more of a carry over the shoulder type person. Now the cool factor is definitely something to consider, because the Fuji X100v is gonna get you closer to that Leica look, whereas the Ricoh is definitely putting you closer to a point and shoot look, which is why I got the diary edition, because it looks a little bit different than just your standard black point and shoot camera. Well, while you enjoy the beautiful views of Tuscany, Italy behind me, let's talk about the Fuji picture profiles. So picture profiles are kind of the reason, film emulations, that people probably go to Fuji, because it really sets them apart from all the other kind of like, you know, quick compact travel cameras. But the Ricoh is right here in my pocket, has picture profiles as well. And so you're able to, you know, dial these recipes in to create a picture that looks very similar to the Fuji. They also have an app where you're able to just airdrop photos from your camera to your phone, similar to the Fuji. Also, from my experience, the Ricoh app is a lot less buggy and annoying than the Fujifilm. The Fujifilm, I actually ended up just always inserting the SD card in my computer, transferring them to my computer, and then airdropping them to my phone, because trying to use the app just was not working and it was too frustrating. The Ricoh, it instantly connects to my phone. I haven't had any issues over the last week. And honestly, for traveling, that's a lot more helpful so that you're not so reliant on your laptop every single day of the trip. People are just harvesting olives just like right below me. I'll zoom in and show you. But one thing to note is battery life. The Ricoh, in its smaller size, has a much less significant battery. You're gonna get about 200 photos. With this one, you're gonna get about 360. But in my experience, the Fuji battery seems to never die. Whereas the Ricoh, I've actually had it die on us a few times. We took it on a bike ride. You know, we took it out and the battery just was done. So that's something to consider. I'm definitely gonna buy a second battery for this camera as soon as I get back home so that for my next trip, I can have 2 charged up, ready to go. Okay, so some final thoughts on these 2 really awesome cameras. They are very different, I will say that. I thought going into buying the Ricoh that after shooting on it, I'd be like, oh, it's the exact same as the Fuji, but smaller. It's not. I mean, it shares a similar idea, like the outcome of the photo looks similar, but the shooting experience is very different. I'd say on the Fuji, the shooting experience is quite magical. It's like you got a film camera, you're able to see the photos right away, you have that mechanical dial experience, whereas on the Ricoh, it does feel very similar to my younger self shooting on a Canon PowerShot that my mom gave me, but the photos look retro and cool and vintage, and of course, you're also not paying for film, so you know, that's helpful. But I will say for the kind of traveling I do and the fact that I shoot videos, I'm already bringing a lot of camera equipment. So whenever I can cut on weight and size, I will. And so I think the Ricoh is gonna definitely be accompanying me on all my future trips. The Fuji, I don't think I'm gonna part with it just because I got the Ricoh, because it has such a different experience for me. So this video is definitely not saying one wins, it's just that they give a very different experience. And I think if I sold the Fuji, I'd definitely be missing the magical experience. What I need to figure out is if I sold the Ricoh, if I would miss it or not. But I'm excited to spend more time with this camera to really determine that. Either way, the outcome and the photos look great on both. They're only 2 megapixels apart. On the Ricoh, you're getting a 7mm wider lens, whereas the Fuji X100v, you're shooting at 28mm, which becomes a 35 on a crop sensor. So they're very similar in their kind of like overalls, but the shooting experience is what I'd say is the absolute difference between these 2. Fuji's just magical. I don't know if it can be replaced. I'm so happy about this camera before kind of the big wave that went on with it. It's definitely not like a one wins over the other. It's more of, I think they each have their place in your camera lineup. If you love like a 35mm film shooting experience, go with the Fuji. But if you just want something that's shooting super cool photos, is super compact, you can literally put it in your pocket, take it on a night out, it's not getting in the way, you know, or while you're traveling around, the Ricoh is definitely the winner there. I mean, it's so small, like it's so tiny, I literally can put it in my pant pocket. Like, that's unreal. All that to say, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video, getting to see a bit of Tuscany around me and kind of just following around for the video. If you guys have any questions or comments, put them down below, and super stoked to see you in the next one. Peace.